Hi, my name is YouTube Director. Welcome to the first episode of my unfinished story of What If Deku Had a Quirk. If you don't know, I highly recommend checking out a video I uploaded earlier, just about yesterday night, or whatever time it is. It'll be called Update. And it's pretty much an introductory to myself, what are my goals, my aspirations, what are my plans. However, if you're not into that, then we can get started onto the first episode of What If Deku Has a Quirk. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video. Deku Midoriya was 4 years old on his birthday when he went to the quirk doctor. It was there he would find out the truth of his quirklessness. He had an extra picture joint, and for the doctor, that was more than enough to tell him he was quirkless. And quirk people have only has one pinky joint, especially two pinky joints. And, well, that's usually dominant in quirkless people. So from there, on his birthday, he would watch his laptop of All Might's debut. And he asked his mother if he could be a hero too. And to Izuku's heartbreak, he never said yes. He only but went to him and cried, apologizing for ruining his life, and apologized for not giving him a superpower to be a hero. That was not what Deku wanted to hear from his mother. He wanted to hear her support him, even if he was quirkless, to be a hero. Few weeks have passed and much has already changed. When the Bakugo learned he was quirkless, he grew distant and cold. Not outright bullying quite yet, but he does get physical when he was annoyed, when Izuku does not listen to what Bakugo saying about leaving him alone. And his friends he had, they drift away, as if they were terrified, looking at something as a relic that shouldn't exist. And the teachers, they didn't really change much, but Deku would miss how they were entirely treating him as a fragile piece, something he would not pick up on until he reflected years later in his life. And soon, when a week turned to a month, it will become a year. Several years have passed since then. That fateful day he found out he was quirkless. Around age 7, Bakugo began to bully Deku, and it will not be crazy violent, but it will be physical, of a slightly physical nature. Verbal abuse, giving him the name Deku, the worthless trash. And then bullying began over the years to gradually build up. Deku Midoriya, or Deku, will not be treated properly. Friends and family become distant and turn away from him. People he wants to talk with civilly and casually don't even want to talk to him, or outright yell at him to go away, to scram, or to never talk to them again, fearing that their quirklessness will rub off on them. And his mother had to take 2 jobs, because when the employers found out of the quirkless child, they began to pay the mother less. He had one in the court case, but that didn't change the fact that the society was discriminatory. And only because 80% of the world has powers, quirks, but 20% did not, and that made them naturally inferior. However, Izuku did not give up. Over the years, he would attend to many part-time classes, after-school activities, which were scientific in nature. Some were of combat, which were martial arts he took in after school, with the help of his mother, who spent every money she had to make sure her boy could defend herself, and to learn new things to help him become a hero. Much to the boy's naivety, of course. As the year passed on to junior high, the bully begins to get worse and even more deadlier, if not straight up monstrous treatment of him. He would get beat up regularly. Teachers would not help. The nurse only would do just enough to keep the boy alive, but no more than that. No helping him, no giving him comfort or anything. Not even a bit of a kind look. Just a stern, get out of my face when I'm done with you look. Just so they can go back to treating actual people, the quirk people. And this rage would be sabotaged, but not to its worst, not to a high extent, only to being B's or C's, since Izuku Midoriya's work is quite literally A+, if not higher. And the fool can not only get away so much for falsifying grades before investigation starts. So he was able to at least stay decent, but not at the recognition he deserved for A. And that would be his life. He was alienated, discriminated, and sometimes hated for having something that others don't have, which was being quirkless, you know? It was just being a normal person. And yet that normality would make him so different from others. It was till the end of junior high that Deku began to leave. Apologies for that. He began to leave school, packing his bag and everything. Then in the event of what happened in the original timeline, what happened? His notebook being exploded on out, and Deku being told to take a swan dive off the roof, and told to pray for a quirk in his next life. And pretty much to not qualify for UA High, because he does not belong there, as Bakugo would say. And Deku believed his heart. However, he was not suicidal. He loved his mother dearly, and he just went on his way. Then on his way, under the bridge, the sludge villain came out. There, the sludge villain will go get him, and that's happened in the original timeline. Saying, "Sorry, kid, I don't need your body to hide. You'll be of useful work." And Deku, of course, trying to run away, but being quirkless, that does not grant him life against the sludge villain, who's more faster than the human body. It also doesn't help him quite liquid, more impossible to evade, if anything. As he was smoking, ready to prepare for his death, Manny and Myers will come. Ha ha ha! Do not fear, for I am here. That's all Deku could hear, and All Might will come out, speeding like a lightning bolt. As quickly as he arrived, he would not only blast the villain around and saving the kid, but just as quickly in that moment put the villain into a secure bottle into his back pocket. That would change everything. This would be the beginning point of this story. You see, All Might in this universe was never injured by Over-One. While Over-One and All Might did have a serious battle, All Might was able to defeat Over-One. Not entirely kill them as he hoped, but Over-One was unable to damage All Might due to a serious event that was heavily negative during the battle, which was favoring the 8th user of One for All. AKA, All Might was not in need of a protector. He was quite literally still in his grand prime as he was years ago. And it's Deku who asked him a question while All Might signed his autograph. Because again, All Might didn't need to run away and could sustain his form. That it was his normal form in a way. He asked, can I be a hero without a quirk, All Might? To which All Might say, sorry kid. Well, I admire your will to be a hero, and that's tremendous. I believe that's a good heart. But hero work isn't easy. Hero work is dangerous and most not anything. My powers alone is the only reason why I am still okay, still fine. But I've seen many heroes with weaker ability suffer the worst of fate, and a quirkless hero would suffer the worst without any power to defend themselves. I suggest going to firefighting or being the police. Sure, they don't get much fame or attention, but they're at any good job, and more safer to be keepers of peace, and in many ways heroes of themselves. The answer All Might gave was not what Deku wanted to hear it, and that broke him more. Even his idol, All Might, the #1 hero of all time of Japan, tells him even he couldn't be a hero. His best friend was right. A quirklet can't be a hero. Deku continued to give up. So he left when All Might left. Downtrodden and hurt. And after he walked his way home, Deku began to make his way. He saw the smoke plume, explosion. Deku knew that explosion very well. How could he not? Those were the same ones that Bakugo used against him whenever he felt like bullying him harshly. So, out of curiosity, he went over there to see what's going on. Then he saw it. The blood villain had somehow escaped. Unbeknownst to Deku and to All Might himself, the clothing All Might had was, let's just say, less than optimal since All Might was out of his way enjoying himself. And his pants ripped during his jump, meaning the blood villain was able to get out. And that, in turn, Bakugo kicked it open and he was on his way to the arcade. Well, that's what he is now. So, moving on to Deku's Solid, Frozen the Fear. All Might was rushing back when he realized he dropped it, trying to look for the first villain. But he was not able to remember where he dropped it, because he was high. It could be anywhere. So he flipped in speed while Izuku's standing frozen. The heroes, Backdraft, Death Arm, Kamui Wood, and the lady and Mount Lady were unable to do anything. badge of a business containing fire. Devon was quite unable to damage him. Tommy Wood was naturally weak against fire since he's made of wood, or wood powered to lead. Devon was trying to tell Baxter to call the fire, but that's was busy, and Mount Lady couldn't fit because she was heavy. She was big. Even if she would have shrank down and shrank back up, she was going to hurt many people in there. It was simply physically impossible for her to get there. And Bakugo did not help. Doesn't help when Bakugo's power is being used by the Clutch Villain to explode and make fire and everything. It was horrible. It was horrendous. It was crazy. But Deku saw the fear in his eyes as he saw his own fear. He saw how scared he was, and Deku didn't know what to do. He just didn't know. You see, Deku was a scientist, an engineer, and he would consider himself knowledgeable in anatomy. Remember, he learned everything. He goes from ranging from anatomy to scientific, even self-defense training. Deku felt an instinct to help his friend. Like he knew he could do it. He just was scared. Because the first time when the Clutch Villain came out, Deku was not ready. Deku was terrified. But Deku, seeing his friend hurt, screaming, in a look of fear, finally Deku's fear began to melt and fiction rise. And he just wished to help. So without thinking, he rushed in. The police screaming, "No, you dumb idiot, get back here!" And the hero, one of the main death farm, Kid, it's not safe, get the hell out of there!" And before you knew it, he was in the depths of fire, rushing towards the villain. And Deku couldn't believe it. What am I doing? What am I doing? This is so stupid. Why am I rushing in? Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm going to get myself killed. But he couldn't think. He just wanted to save his friend. He knows he's stupid, but he wants to save his friend. He wants to be there. His friend was dying. Sure, he was an asshole, a bully, but he's not going to let his friend die. That was just messed up. That's not who he is. That's not what he was born. He always wanted to be a hero. So he threw his pat back based on his quick analysis to the eyes. Those were physical parts of his body. As soon as the Clutch Villain quirk and react, getting pissed off, Deku will grab the boy, grab his best friend Bakugo, clawing his mouth away, trying to get him to breathe. And when Bakugo begins to breathe, Bakugo begins to curse, "Damn it, Deku! I don't need your help! Get the hell out of here!" To which Deku only said with teary eyes, because he's terrified and yet full emotion, I can't let you die. I can't stand there to let you die." However, before either could react or reply to each other, the Clutch Villain would slam away Deku harshly, slamming against the brick walls nearby. And Deku felt ribs fracturing in several places as he screamed with a harsh voice. And it was painful, it was horrifying, it was crazy. And the heroes could hear it. They panic because the kid got himself hurt. The kid was stupid. And Bakugo could only stare in horror as he saw his best friend, his former best friend, rib fracture. Sure, he was an asshole. He suicide bait him. But seeing it actually hurt, Bakugo knew that he couldn't even laugh about it. He couldn't even ignore it. He only could feel his rage as he tried to explode and get out, because he doesn't want to be in this villain. However, the Clutch Villain kept Bakugo in, began to suffocate him again, and tried to go reach for Deku, saying, "You damn annoying brat. It's about time I get to kill you and use your body as a body shield." However, before he could do, Deku Will you believe his last moment for thinking, please, please, I need someone, a doctor. I need a security. I need someone to defend and help. There was a faint sound, a sort of fire crackling, a whoosh, as the sound of boots came. They were confused sounds, like, well, what the hell? They were wearing blue pants, shirt, with a black helmet and a black vest. The back thing, black mesa, and security tag on it. They seemed to be sick. They were armed with something to be a pistol, Glock. A little bit 6 years old, around the quirk period, 1980. Back then, the old world. Then there was a sound of confused voice and confusion. Where are we? Who is this? Before long, the sound of another person speak up. You nincompoop. Clearly, somebody's in danger. Go free that kid from whatever the hell that thing is. And before long, Deku opened his eyes. Hey. And he saw what seemed to be a scientist. Young. A little bit of a patchy brown hair. Glasses. Scientist lab coat. But however, before he could see long, he begins to pass out. As the ears ring. This, my friend, is episode 1 of What If Deku Has a Quirk. I apologize for any mishap. I hope this was fun, and I'll see you again in the next episode.